and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I would like to recognize, before we go into our agenda, I would like to recognize a special person who has come with Commissioner Holland, Amarion Ford, who is sitting back here. Let me tell you a little bit about this young man. Mr. Ford, that Commissioner Holland has enlightened me today. He's a senior, class of 2022 at East Nashville Magnet High School. He is the most valuable player in Region 5 Class 3A. He wants to study engineering in college, wants to build airplanes, and he wants to go to the University of Tennessee, which is pretty obvious from your attire today, which, by the way, is not a bad place to go. I went to the University of Tennessee as well. We're proud that you came here today. Thank you very much for your attendance, and welcome and good luck to you at the University of Tennessee next year and in the forthcoming years. Thank you. Everybody has been given a copy of the agenda. Do we have a motion that the agenda be approved as submitted? So moved.
Second.
By Councilman and Commissioner Gamble. Second? Second, made and second by Commissioner Sanderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda is approved. By now you should have the minutes of the November 2021 meeting. You should have had an opportunity to review them. Do I have a motion and a second that the minutes be approved as submitted? Moved? Second. And by the way, before we vote on this, because our normal executive secretary, Ms. Quinn, is not here. She has a conflict, along with Mr. Talbot. Graciously, Captain Oliver has agreed to be the secretary, and we appreciate his. We do have a quorum, by the way. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Ayes have it. The minutes are approved. I want to welcome. Before we welcome, let me have a report from the leadership of the various committees. First of all, I am proud that Captain Oliver's committee, the response committee, has submitted its draft report. Do you have anything to add to that? I've read it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. We're going to study that, and hopefully, if there are any amendments, we can get those ironed out between now and the January meeting, and we'll vote on it in January. You got anything to add to that, Captain Oliver?
Yes, sir. First of all, I want to thank each member of our committee that took and put forth the effort to take this work very serious and look at the issues at hand and make their contributions and recommendations. And so at this point, what you see before you is the pressing issues or concerns that were looked at by our committee and how it was divvied up as initially presented to us as our charge from Chairman Summers. And we've outlined it so that it'd be easy to follow each question as we went through it and made our recommendations and identified the issues at hand for each topic. For any questions on this, please be able to reach out to myself, and I'll be more than glad to answer those follow-up questions. For example, such as the spreadsheet for which we identified and kept track of a lot of the records for those agencies that were involved in the incidents in the aftermath of the initial bombing. That's on our public website for our commission, so you can find that and track that, and I'll make sure that that's up to date with the most accurate information as it should be as today. Now, at the end of this, if you see anything that you have further questions or any recommendations, this is not a final draft. That's going to be final when you all approve it, but it is a working draft right now. So that's what I have so far from our committee. I thank Councilwoman Sanderson and he's not here today, but Mario for their contributions to this work.
Thank you. Please submit any comments straight directly to Captain Oliver regarding the responses committee. Commissioner Martinez, would you like to report on the Criminal Investigations Committee?
Yes, we are withholding submitting a report until after this meeting, given the relevancy of today's presentation to the Criminal Investigation Committee part of the work.
Thank you. When you've got that draft completed after this meeting, please submit it to the entire commission. But the officer of primary responsibility, the OPR, will be our deputy chairman, Mr. Howell.
Yes, sir.
But submit it to everybody. Okay? Thank you very much. You have any comments other than the fact that you want at our next meeting you're going to invite NES and also Piedmont Gas, is that right?
That's correct. They will be invited here shortly to our next meeting on January 25th at 10 a.m. And I'm sorry for not having my microphone on sooner.
Roger that. Thank you very much. Now, I want to welcome once again Lieutenant Steve Lewis from the Metro Nashville Police Department. He said that a lot of the questions and a lot of the dialogue that he had, that he kind of understands, he has a pretty good understanding of what we need in addition to what he's already testified to, but at the same time, he's here to answer any and all questions that we may have that he doesn't answer during his presentation. I'm going to turn it over to you, Lieutenant Lewis.
Okay. Hold on one second. Let me get this slideshow up. There you go. Thank you to the commission for inviting me back. I appreciate the invitation, and I hope that I can give you some information that will be helpful in your recommendations that you'll develop based upon your review of the incident. So, in our correspondence back and forth, there were a few questions that I pulled out of emails that looked like the focus areas that the commission wanted us to look at. One was the lessons learned in the wake of the Nashville bombing. Any identified needs or anything that would have been useful in responding to the incident. What would assist the police in gathering evidence on future criminal incidents? And are there any additional tools which would be helpful to the police during these type of events? If there are additional questions, just let me know and we'll be glad to answer those. The police department is an open book. Anything that we can do to help you come up with the recommendations that we can then implement later, we're 110% in. So if there's anything at all, whether it be written, another presentation of any sort, we want to know, we want to help, we want to be better. So please let us know. With that being said, the previous commission that looked at all the stuff pre-blast, all the recommendations that came out of that have been fully implemented by the department. That's how serious we are about being better. So if there's anything that comes out of this commission, we'll be fully in to do the same. So please let us know. We definitely want to be better. With that being said, in the process of how the department becomes better, what we do is when we have critical incidents, large events, things like that, we do an after action. What we do is we solicit that information from the people that are involved. So the officers that saw things present it to their supervisors, who then push it on up to the person that's writing the report. So once we get that information, if there's something that comes out of that that's critical, that's time sensitive, we enact that immediately if that's what needs to happen. If it's something that just needs to be generally presented as lessons learned, best practices, things like that, then it will then be developed into and drive our training for immediate, intermediate, and then long-term. So we always are trying to learn. We're always trying to get better. We're always trying to predict what may happen next. So a lot of times what you get on this incident may drive us into what would happen if this happened later and it's never happened before, let's say. So we're constantly trying to predict and prepare for what could happen. So the information that came out of this incident and all the other things that happened in 2020, which was a very busy year for the city with tornadoes, pandemics, crowd control issues. We had a presidential debate, turned around, had a bombing. First thing this year, we had a flood. So all that gets reviewed, and then we try to come up with best practices. So the next portions of these slides are things that we already have prepared to present into next year's in-service as a roll call video or roll call training. So when I go through this, I'm only going to hit a few high points that are particular to this. So not everything that's on these slides. So these are things that we are just refreshing our officers and supervisors on things that we need to be doing. So it doesn't mean that they didn't go right last time. It's just reminders of things they need to do in the future, and whether that be continue what they're doing good or polish up what they're doing not as well. Does that make sense? So one of the things on this particular one that's a little unique in this situation is that since we've had tornadoes and we've had floods, we've had destruction of hazardous materials incidents, we've had structural collapses, we've had down power lines, gas, water, things like that. But this situation was slightly different in that we had those things in an intentional act, which then drove an investigation too. So putting all that together makes it a little bit different. So it's critical for us to be monitoring our environment while we're doing a crime scene to make sure, and we just spoke a minute ago before this, about the hazmat issues, the structural collapses, the down electricity, the gas, the water issues, things like that. Keep in mind it was 19 degrees that morning. We had water spraying everywhere. What was happening with that? That water was then making another hazard we didn't even predict, right? Plus that was landing on roofs and on buildings that were already structurally compromised, which then made that a problem. So that was one of the things that came out of it. One of the things we let our guys know, our employees know, is that sometimes you need to ask for more help. So you may have 200, 300 people working an event, but you need a span of control that makes sense. So we remind them to bring more people in to help supervise portions of that. You don't want to be supervising 200 people. You want to be supervising maybe 20 supervisors who are supervising the additional people. So just a reminder. Another is to get an assistant. You can't answer the radio, you can't answer the phone at the same time and write things down. You have to get more help. So some of the things that came out of the reviews is just getting the right help to help you get these things done. Request the appropriate agencies and resources. We have a great working relationship with all our state and local partners. We really do. The reason we do is because this is an event city. Because it's an event city, we practice daily what we would do in an emergency because we're already working together. We know the supervisors and the employees in Public Works, OEM, Police, Fire, EMS, USAR, K-9, the electric company. We know these people because we deal with them all the time. That's lucky for us because we don't have to go through all those immediate contacts when something happens and we've never talked to these people before. We know them. We have their numbers in our phones, so we make the right calls to the right people to get things done. So, but that's one of the things that we reiterated with our folks is that we need to keep those contacts up. We need to keep networking. We need to keep doing and use that when the emergency happens. We need to educate our personnel regarding blast injuries. That's something we haven't had here in a long time. As far as I know, we may have never had it here. But I don't know that Metro government's ever had an employee that has been impacted by a blast wave that came from an explosion. Well, which also means that the EMS and the hospitals may not necessarily know because that's not their experience as well, because that's not what they do every day. So what we did do is put together a blast injury card to put with our first responders to say, if you encounter this, you need to make sure that your medical treatment happens as immediate as possible, and this is how it needs to be handled. So that's one of the things that came out of our review. Then we went into documented entries. This was a little strange in that a lot of competing interests in this Second Avenue footprint, as everybody here knows. So you have the investigative work that's going on. You have all the life safety things that need to be addressed at the same time. Plus you have the people that want to get back to their businesses. They want to get back to their residents. They want to get back to the retail. They want to get back to these locations. And turn off their water, pick up the things that they can get out of there that they can salvage, make claims and things like that. So one of the things that came out of the discussion was that although we did a really good job, I thought, at securing that and helping people get back to their stuff, probably something that probably hasn't been done, it definitely hasn't been done here, because since it was an extended event with a lot of people involved, we were able to bring in USAR to help walk those people back to the places they could to get things out, or help them get things out. So a lot of times we got it out for them. One of the things that came out of that is while they were there, we should have maybe wristbanded everybody to make sure that while they were there was a visual ID to know that person was supposed to be in the perimeter. That way we didn't have somebody that walked in from someplace and we didn't realize it. So that was one of the things that came out of it, and we're prepared to do that in the future. I thought engaging the public early, often with clear and concise messaging was extremely important. I thought all the agencies working together on that did very well. They pushed it all to one website, which I thought was a very fantastic idea. They pushed out updates saying these are the areas that are impacted, here's where you can go, here's where you safely can, here's where you cannot. And they made updates every day on that. So we pushed these type maps up, and then they took that information and put it into the format that Hub Nashville, I think, put out. One of the things that did come up is copycats. We did have a couple of calls that occurred during this time period. One was out of county. There was a couple things in county, but we got to be prepared for that. When somebody sees something on the news, they may decide they want to go try the same thing, or enact that same type situation. In this case, it was nothing to it. They were joking, but it was enough to pull a huge response. Have redundancy in your specialty fleet vehicles and equipment. Metro is not an infinite amount of, big bank account. It's not infinite. It's not, it has caps to it. So we can't buy 100 of things that we need one of. We can't have that much redundancy. But where we can and where we should, when we have specialty fleet issues that are one of a kind, like a command post or a certain piece of equipment, the city really needs to step up on having redundancy in that specialty fleets. We don't want to have all eggs in one basket on things. And then occasionally there are things that we can't afford or don't put enough money to where we have 2 or 3 of them. So like a command post or an armored car or things like that. Just talking the police side of the house. So it's a balancing. You don't want to have too much because you don't want a lot sitting on the shelf, but you don't have too little to where we never have it in stock. So it's a balancing act. But one of the things we can do is that if we can't have redundancy in our fleet, we have got to have a priority service for the things that are important. So if you got a command post that's going to be out of service, it needs to have priority service to get it done as quick as possible to get it back into service. Does that make sense? So, and we've got to do that as a city. So we have done that inside the police department for our employees there to help us get the things in and out as we can, and it's gotten better. The day of this event, our bomb truck was in fleets for repair. So our bomb truck response vehicle was actually in fleet management at a contractor having repairs done to it with no priority service to it. Okay. So we just got caught on that one, and we got it out in a couple of days. But we need to have redundancy, or we need to have priority, one of the two.
Do we only have one?
We only have one of those. So, and that's not just exclusive to the police department. That is every department. Every department has critical assets that they have to have. We need to make sure that they have the priority service for them, or redundancy, one of the two, or maybe both, actually. So. Redundancy in our communication. I think everybody was impacted, even in this room, with that. Just before this event, we had a changeover from, we used to issue Verizon and AT&T hotspots. Had a little bit of mix there. We had AT&T, and we changed all of our department over to AT&T just before this. And we had sat phones in our department before that, and we turned off most of the sat phones, switched everybody to AT&T, just a few months before this event, thinking that's going to be the best thing out there. Well, it's not infallible, as we realized. Now, we've already corrected that inside our own department. We're in the process of adding a couple sat phones back into the department, but we took all the supervisors in the department and went to dual SIM cards or dual carriers. So they're now on 2 different carriers, so their phone will revert from one to the other if one fails. So we have a backup, and they are in the process of finishing that up. I expect it'll be done by the first year. I'd say the biggest bulk has already been done. So there's a few to finish up. But that's huge. I mean, I was personally on an AT&T phone, and I had a Verizon hotspot, and I was using my AT&T phone, talking through Wi-Fi on my Verizon hotspot that I carried on me to actually have connection that day. We can make it happen. We get it done. But redundancy in communication, as we know, is huge for us and everybody else in the city.
Excuse me, how secure is a Wi-Fi hotspot to make a call?
I wouldn't know the technical part of that, but I would assume that since it's using the same carrier or the same cell phone systems, that it would be the same as a phone would be. But I don't know.
I was just thinking, in the event this wasn't who did it, instead it was something more nefarious, and they're monitoring communications to find out where to go and whatnot. I was just wondering, is the hotspot phone any good?
Or at least me, I didn't relay any information back and forth that could have been compromised and been an issue, but it's a good question. I don't have an answer, but I'll pose it back to our IT and see. So, but, yeah, I guess you'd have to be looking for it, listening for it while that had occurred, and maybe that would have occurred, but it's a good question. I will definitely get an answer for it and get back to the. Yeah, and the first day, we really didn't know who all was involved. So it took a little bit before we did. Managing the constant competing interests from the involved parties. I know that's been an issue. We asked for early on to get the city to assign a project manager to help go forward with it. Initially, it's a police matter. We've got the crime scene, but eventually it's got to be turned over to basically a destruction and a construction site. I would say getting that project manager identified earlier, working with the police so that they actually have all the history before they actually take it over would be very beneficial. And I don't know that they have developed policy yet to know if we have this happen again, what the process is going to be. But now that they've worked through it, I'm sure there's probably discussion about that. But definitely getting a project manager assigned, because you get out there and one business wants to drop a dumpster to go work on their business while another business over here wants to work on a power line. Which one gets priority for the same spot, same territory, and the same street? So getting a project manager involved early would be very beneficial. I know that they did that later once it got turned over, and I'm not sure the lead is maybe codes or whoever actually had it. But getting one up front, shadowing the police along the way would have been very handy. Now, those are just some of the highlights from what we rolled together for a training cycle for our department. But there are some improvements that they're working on inside the department. I'll go through those real quick, and then there's some for our unit specifically. So future improvements, we can always improve our flow and content of our communications, obviously. That's always, every time you do an after action, it is number one on everything. Communication plan with an alternate communication methods, which I've told you we're already working towards resolving those issues. And then just letting our personnel know how to handle something if it's a total communication failure, also being worked on. Conduct agency and citywide incident command training. I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but back in, I think about 12 years ago, they pulled together all the department heads from all the agencies of Metro and sent them to Emmitsburg, Maryland, and did an immersion training for about 4 to 5 days where they gave them a scenario. In that particular case was Hurricane Heidi. And they worked through those department heads through their roles like it's a real deal. In a big room with a SIM cell outside that would answer the phone and act like whatever was in the field. We haven't done that in a while as a city goes, but we suggest that we ought to be looking towards doing that again because it's another generation. It's been 10 or 12 years. And there are people in department head roles now that haven't been through that. So we think it would be very beneficial as a city to do that. Second to that is we're already doing some training inside. We have refresher training for incident command this year in service. We've already setting up some tabletop exercises for this year so that we can cycle our own supervisors through it. But we believe the city should do one for the whole city as well.
Just clarify, what you're suggesting is a citywide tabletop exercise?
For the, yes.
What you're suggesting is a citywide tabletop exercise, multi-agencies and departments, is what you're suggesting.
So what they do, they did 10 or 12 years ago, is they had Emmitsburg, which is a FEMA facility up there. They bring them all in. They put them in a dorm set up there. They bring them in for 4 to 5 days worth of training, and they teach a little. Then they give you scenarios, and you work through parts of those scenarios. Then you do everything that your role would be. You're actually in that role, whether it's logistics, planning, whatever it happens to be, and you're doing PIO, public information, things. You're getting information in, you're pushing information back out, and you're designing plans based upon that. It's really just working you through a scenario. It could be anything you want it to be. That particular one, I want to say was in 08 or 09, was done on something called Hurricane Heidi that resulted in flooding in Nashville. And then less than a year and a half later, what did we have? 2010 flood. So I think the success of 2010 flood resulted from working through that prior to it. So, and I think we should try to do those periodically in metro government every few years or so.
So I wanted to catch that point while you made it, because it's actually a great suggestion. And I guess for our Lessons Learned Committee, that's something we can incorporate from this commission. So no, I understood it, but I wanted to make sure we went back through it because it was a great point. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
How often would you recommend that we have that training?
Well, I would say you can't afford to send everybody, because we sent, I believe it was 60 personnel from metro government to Maryland. And it was either department heads or their assistants. And I don't think you could pull everybody away once a year, but definitely every few years, thinking about generational changes. It's been 10 years. A lot of department heads have changed. A lot of employees have changed. I would say maybe 5 years might be better, maybe less. I don't know that we can do it every year, every other year, but that would definitely be something that needs to be discussed.
Does FEMA still offer that training?
We haven't checked. I believe they do, but if they don't, there are contractors that can do it. And they might be able to do it here. So that may be a possibility as well. But we took 60 people, sent them, I believe it was 60 people, sent them up there. And the good thing about going up there and that dorm setting is you have very little outside obligations to distract you while you're trying to do this.
Right.
If you're here, more likely you have those distractions. So if you can get them away, it's better. Or somehow or another isolate them and totally take their responsibilities away from them while they're there. So,
And
but
to add to that, and Captain Oliver's question, is it just Metro, or should the recommendation be that other agencies that are critical to this be included in that?
I think that's really open to the discussion. We did it with the metro agencies, and we found it very beneficial. Okay. But what they did is anything that they needed to interact with, they had a simulation cell set aside that would be, let's say, another agency or another fire department or a citizen that's just calling in a tip or whatever it happens to be. They would do that in a sim cell in a scripted manner. So when you pick up the phone to call asking for food from, let's say, pick any vendor, somebody would answer the other end as that person. So it would simulate everything, and you stayed in a big conference room handling the situation in your role. So I found it to be very, very beneficial, and I think it would be very beneficial to the city to do it again. OEM coordinated last time, did a fantastic job with it. I'm sure they would entertain the idea to do that again. So. Let's see here. Also, and I mentioned this earlier, we already maximize our opportunities to practice and exercise instant command principles daily. We use instant command on our major special events, major instance and special events. And I think all agencies should do the same. That way, you're already doing exactly what you do when the emergency happens. And if you do that every day, then it comes second nature when you do the actual incidents. So, and we do that on our special events in the city, which I'm very proud to say. So, Changing the police patrol officers to 10-hour shifts, that's already in the process. We think that's going to happen sometime in the spring of 2022. So that will help overlap at the right places at the right time to have the right amount of people handling situations. One of the things that is needed for that, and also needed for more efficiency in our response to emergency incidents, is increasing the amount of police take-home vehicles so that all police responders have an assigned vehicle. And let me give you an example why that's important. So when we call people in during crowd control and they don't have an assigned car, now they're not really fully equipped to do the things that we're asking them to do. And they're going to have to go get it. They're going to have to get a ride to do it, so on and so forth. I can't put somebody out on a traffic post if they don't have a car assigned to them. Now I'm having to try to figure out who's got a car or not. And I know that that's a project that's being worked on, but that will be hugely important to the department to increase our efficiency and increase our first respond capabilities by having those officers with a take-home car with all the gear issued to them so that they can then come in 24/7, 365, and without delay. So I know that that's being worked on, but we've encountered it in the bombing. We encountered it with the crowd control, floods, tornadoes, all the things that happened in 2020, 2021. So I'm glad that they're working on that project. Back to the next one down there is just what we just talked about on fleet assets, having redundancy and priority service. Another tool that we're working on, and currently in my shop, is the implementation of an incident support team. I think the department does a really good job on their emergency responses to stuff, whatever that critical incident happens to be. We do a really good job on the special event side of the house, but the emergency event that becomes an extended event becomes the most problematic because things weren't planned. So the incident support team is not something that would come in and manage it. It would just come in and give them the tools they need to manage it, i.e. start planning for the next shift, bringing in food, water, logistics as necessary. So we're trying to get that rolling. We already do it in a different manner, but to have a formalized program for it, I believe would be very beneficial to us. Adding additional cameras and upgrades to our current camera system. You know that the RV was identified on 2nd Avenue by camera system, by the safety camera system. We could definitely improve that by putting some new cameras in some of the older camera system portions and adding cameras to areas that we haven't covered already. And we also do this similar manner. We use mobile camera systems in things for special events and things like that. And some of those are aging, failing, and we really don't have enough of them anyway. So that's 2 areas that they're working on. So for the bomb squad specifically, they have 4 priorities that they're working on. So since the bombing in December 20, we've added 4 new bomb technicians to the team. We've actually moved it from 6 to 10, and we're in the process of adding 2 more if we can get it approved by the federal government. So our intent is to be able to have enough people to answer the calls that we run into and all the special events, because we work all the special events too. So if it's a big crowd, big gathering, the hazardous device unit, our bomb squad will be there, most likely, doing some kind of screening. So we were already working on the project before the bombing, and then we've accelerated that project. Now we've added 4, so we've brought it up to 10 as of about a month and a half ago. Our next priority is to make sure they have all the individual gear that they need to do that job. And that's an expensive proposition, but we're working towards getting that done. And that's the X-ray systems and the bomb tech tactical gear, ballistic helmets, ballistic vests, the things they need to enter into those packages, the switch diagnostics to deal with the electronics of it and the wiring of it, rigging kits to move it, and night vision. So the second priority is to add, we've got a pretty good cache of bomb suits for what we have now. We just added 4 people. We need to add 2 more bomb suits to that. So that's our second priority that we're working on. The third one is that we have what's called a FX robot, which is a large robot to deal with larger devices in larger areas. We have one now. If we'd have rolled it up onto the RV that day and it would have been destroyed, our capability would have been greatly reduced. So our next priority will be to duplicate that. into a second robot, which will also allow us to have full capability in 2 sites at the same time. We already have smaller robots, but they're not as capable as the larger ones that can move large items. So that's our 3rd priority for the team. And our 4th priority is to add a video ray defender or some type of equivalent that allow us to do that same work that we do above water, underwater. So we have a dive team, we have certified bomb technicians to work underwater, but we don't have this device yet to do some of those things we need to do in the water itself. So that's our 4th priority. So other than that, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
This is an excellent presentation. Would you mind sharing by email with various committee chairs that we
No problem at all.
have?
Anything we have is yours. You know that. So we will
We
gladly
do
send it to
appreciate
you.
it. Would that be helpful to you, Commissioner, and to you, Vice Chairman, and to you? Well, do you have all of our email addresses?
I think I have about 3 or
Do you have
probably 3 of them.
Commissioner Martinez's,
I do. Ms. Campbell's
have-
I have.
Commissioner Hollins?
I don't believe I have yours, sir.
He'll give it to you.
I don't
Chairman
have it.
Summers, I'm happy to distribute it. I've corresponded with Mr. Lewis setting this up.
Send it to her,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
she'll distribute it if you don't mind.
That'll be
Thank
great.
you. This is an excellent presentation. Other questions of Lieutenant Lewis?
Yes, sir.
Did you say that only supervisors were getting the dual SIM card, or is it the entire force?
It's cost prohibitive to do, because remember, everybody in our department that runs a body camera also has a phone. So when you add 2 SIM cards to every one of those phones, it does become very costly. So they made a decision to do supervisors and above that'll manage those resources. So, and remember, we still will be talking from supervisors to officers by radio as well, and visual and right there in person. So they thought it'd be less critical, and they could afford to do this portion now. I thought it was a great call that they got it done. So very
Top of your
beneficial.
head, do you know what that number is? How many of those supervisors are above, just ballpark?
What it cost or how
No,
many?
how many personnel are we talking about with dual?
I do not know off the
Okay.
top of my head, but I can get that for you. Pass it as well.
I have a question, Chairman.
But I can find out for sure.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you for being here today. Thank you for this very thorough presentation and great suggestions for lessons learned and improvements. One you mentioned was the Metro assigning a project manager who prioritizes departmental needs, I guess, during an incident, during an emergency. Do you have any examples of a project manager like that from another city? Is that something that would come from the mayor's office, or do you have an idea of how that project manager, what division that project manager should come from?
It would only be on my personal opinion on this, and I had limited interactions with it. Prior to it, up until the point when the criminal investigation in the crime scene was completed, the police department handled the management of the site. Once the site was finished, then it really became a destruction, demo, and then reconstruction issue. I know that somebody was assigned to handle that as a project manager going forward, or maybe it was a firm, but I know that somebody handled that position afterwards. I'm assuming that came through codes, since they would be the ones permitting. I would assume that, and I'm only assuming that. So I would think that's probably where it would lay. But my point on it is we just want to overlap them. We want to put them in the last couple of days of what we're doing so that they know what's happened and, things that we've agreed upon and the nuances of the site prior to it actually being turned over to them. And I don't think that occurred, at least not at the level that I saw. It didn't occur. And we believe that just that overlap would be helpful to make sure that they get started right.
And,
Thank you.
Chairman, this is not so much a question as I think this is good leadway into some discussion, because I think when we're making our recommendations too, I think from what I'm hearing, and I applaud you for standing before and saying this is just what we need, But a lot of times with the decision makers, money has to come from somewhere. From what I'm understanding, and I think this is a good time in history where we're standing, let me back up. From our recommendations already that you all have seen, you used the word redundancy. We use diversity in diversification between both private and public. What the Christmas Day bombing did is it hurt our critical infrastructure. So if I'm in city government now, I'm looking at the infrastructure bill and saying some of that money from a federal level could be used for some of the assets, because you all are first responders. You are critical to keeping business open and keeping people's lives going. And what we saw was a lot of inconvenience, but we also saw some safety issues. So I just want to point that out, that what you're saying is spot on, and what you're asking for, if, like you're talking about the city manager or someone who could run that, would be critical in a future event. And we've already seen in Nashville, whether intentional or not, these are things, when they go down, it really has an impact on how we conduct our day-to-day life. So I'll throw that out there. I think that is part of critical infrastructure. Would you agree?
I agree, 100%. We've had during the review of the CEMP, which is, I think, going on right now, we've had discussions about redundancies, diversities, and also efficiencies, because a lot of agencies do go out to do one project or one thing that they need from their perspective, and then we go back with another group doing something at the same location. Tornadoes are probably a good example, flood, damage like that, and maybe we ought to put together a team to do it all at once. It's less impactful to the person that we're servicing, and it's more efficient to do together in a lot of cases. So I think you're right on the money on that.
Other questions of Lieutenant? Other questions?
I have another question.
Thank you.
Has the police department made any formal requests for more funding for any of these recommendations?
I'm not aware of that. Even if they're projects for us, it doesn't mean we won't eventually figure out how to fund it and make the appropriate capital improvement or 4% or grants or budget type request. So just because they're on here as priorities of things that we're working on doesn't mean that we're asking for any funding. That's obviously my boss's, their discretion on how they want to go approach that. But it's still a project that we're working on.
Commissioner?
Yes, I can add to that. There is a request for additional fleet that is going to the council tomorrow out of the American Rescue Plan funds, but that is not for a fleet for incidents and things that we're talking about here. That's just more cars for service because they need more cars. So there is a request for fleet and some other equipment, but it's not related to this bombing incident and what we need to do to protect our infrastructure and city going forward.
Thank you. Other questions?
Another question.
Commissioner?
Can you talk more about the mobile cameras that you mentioned? Are those on police vehicles, or where are those positioned?
No, sir. We have in the public safety camera system, there's two pieces of that. One is the fixed sites, which you see around town. Usually they have a blue light that either steady or flashing and some markings on it. And then we have mobile systems, a couple of different brands, and they are cameras, you've probably seen them. They've been out at the courthouse, different places like that, where it's a small trailer with a mast, and then you've got blue lights on that, and it's got a couple camera systems so you can remotely look and use those for, let's say, New Year's Eve, July 4th, Titans games. You've probably seen them at all those events, sometimes out at the Preds, depending on what's going on there, ballparks and things like that. So those are two different brands. I think we've been using Mobile Pro and SkyCop.
Now, are those already equipped with like license plate reader technology or any other type of surveillance technology?
As far as I know, there's no license plate readers on any of those systems.
Okay.
They could be equipped that way, and they are offered that way, but I don't believe that our department has any at this time.
Other questions? Lieutenant, thank you for your presentation. We shall appreciate your sending the PowerPoint presentation to Ms. Cynthia, and thank you for your service. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for the commission looking at this.
Thank you. I think we are on schedule, folks, and I appreciate you. Our goal is that you're welcome to stay for the rest of this meeting, but you are free to go.
I don't want to disrupt you in the process.
Our goal is to finalize our report to the council no later than March of 2022. It appears that we're on schedule, subject to information we learned today. It appears that the Criminal Investigation Committee, chaired by Commissioner Martinez, will submit something to all members, particularly to our co-chairman, Mr. Holland, within the next week or so, to give us an opportunity to review those, subject to hearing from Piedmont and NES in January of 2020. We ought to be able to finalize the Bombing and Responses Committee into a final draft, and then hopefully we will also be no later than February. If we could do it in January, do the same thing with the Criminal Investigations Committee. Our co-chairman, Mr. Holland, understands that the Lessons Learned Committee will put together those two final products that we've approved and then come up with a summary of the lessons learned, which I think today's presentation would be very helpful for that. And anyway, I think we're on schedule. Does anybody have any questions about what we need to do and what our goals are? Based on my calculation, our first real meeting was April of 2021, and our 12th meeting will be March of 2022, and that's right on time. Anybody have any questions? Does anyone, before we adjourn, let me say thank you again, Mr. Ford, for coming today. And thank you for leading your high school to the state championship in football. We appreciate you. And good luck to you at UT. Are there any objections to our adjourning until the January meeting, which is when, Ms. Cynthia?
January 25th, the final Tuesday of the month in this room.
At 10 o'clock. Does anybody have any need for any committee meetings at 9 o'clock? There being none, are there any objections to our adjournment? There being none, ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned until 2022 January. Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.